a series of topics. In this video, you're probably watching this video later as part of your training, your intern training. So we are actually going to cram as much information as we can into the next 2 hours. Before we do that, there are some updates that are relevant to our intern training as well. Number one, the biggest change that we're making right now is that we are going to be taking before and afters and uploading to the client file every single service. So if you guys pull out your phones and go to Forest, and then you just double click literally on any appointment and go to appointment notes, you'll see an option there that says photos. Scroll down. Yeah, it says add photos right there. And that's per appointment. Why is this important? This is important because there's some legalities that we want to cover as far as documentation. Also, I don't know how to train you guys if I'm not looking at your work, right? And then another thing is it protects you and your services when a client either has a complaint or test is this one too, or needs to address something with the owner or wants to make a false claim or accusation. That's less than 1% of the time. It's like 0.01% of the time. In 15 years, I've had like maybe 4 clients make false accusations. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they would go home and look at themselves and then try to tell us that, you know, something happened or whatever, and then ask for a refund. And that's just not something that we do. So obviously, utilizing the before and after function is going to be very important. Everybody got that? Everybody got that? Okay. So we're going to start doing that. And you guys have to help hold me accountable too, because it's going to be a new habit for myself as well. I'm already taking before and afters, but the app makes it so easy. Just point and click. It doesn't need to be a styled before and after. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It just needs to be on the profile. Like it doesn't need to be something that you're going to feature on your Instagram. We can take those styled as we should to feature our work later. But like just one, when you're doing consult, do you mind if I take it before, add it to your client file? This will not be published online. Sure, right? And then once you are checking them out during the 8 steps, I'm going to go ahead and add your after to your client file so we can keep documentation of your services. And it doesn't even need the other face. You can remind them again, it's not going to be going online, right? Everybody good? All right. Next thing, you guys see a document in chat. Oh, there's 2 mics here. I don't need both mics right now. You guys can see a document in chat that talks about the 8 steps index. Where are we here? 8 steps index. We got the professional tools and standards guide too. 8 steps index, we're not going to go through this now, but this is something that we're adding to the weekly training. One of the things that I've really been like geeking out over lately is really getting the information for interns itemized into 10 weeks. And so you guys are very, very clear on the standards and expectations. Brittany and Allie are even going through those with us. So those of you who've been through the intern program, I'm going to start dropping these things into your files because I do want you to go through them. If you've seen it before, you can refresh, you can fast forward, you can skip, you can just go straight to the quiz if you want. But it just is going to be 1, a good refresher, 2, a good understanding for how we're delivering the information like categorized by now. And once this whole 10 weeks thing is set up, I'm not going to be gatekeeping on hiring interns anymore. Like, because I will be able to handle training more people at one time once all this stuff is categorized. So I've been working on that a lot lately. But with this 8 steps scripting guidelines, this is going to be in, I think I put it in week 2 or week 3, something like that. We will be going over this together, not today, but you guys might want to get yourselves ahead on it. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because this is one of the most common questions that I get is how do I follow up with my guests? Is there a script that I can text them? There's all kinds of scripts here, you guys. Like I've read through all of them, everything here. Okay. So if you don't know how to talk to a client, if you're feeling not confident, if things are not clicking for you, we're going to be utilizing this. Next document I want to show you guys briefly. Our artist toolkit and standards proficiency. Basically, this is your professional toolkit. This is something that is not negotiable for you as a hairstylist. You're an independent business owner, and I'm just basically writing out what you need. Of course, we've touched on appearance and tool hygiene standards and all that, but all the way from what did she just throw? We start with, here is a professional toolkit storage. I have not inserted the links in this yet, but you guys have access to the master document. You don't even need that in your folder. And once I insert the links for recommended tool purchases, if you don't have something and you need it, my recommendations are going to be here. Hot styling tools, blow dryers, to my favorite brushes, my favorite detangling brushes, my favorite long hair mannequin, a mannequin stand. Obviously, you need an iPhone or some kind of high quality picture taking device. Facetune app should be qualified as a tool. Professional Instagram portfolio. Your Instagram is a tool. So if we don't have one of those, let's do inventory on that. Salon software setup.
So nice.
Florist pay account. I can't stress this enough. Like, Alexis, you should jump on this.
I set it up, I think, but I don't know how to actually like
Connect it.
check people out with it or yeah.
Okay, so maybe Allie or Brittany can show you how they're using it. It's so easy. It makes the checkout process just 10 times more professional, don't you think? Instead of just being like, dude, can you Zelle? Can you Venmo? Can you blah, 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 right? And then it goes all into your stylist checking account. If you guys don't know yet how to manage money at a very basic level and being an independent business owner, we'll have another class on that. Yeah. It's so simple, but it will make you successful. I've never pulled out, for this entire operation that we've ever done, from my first salon all the way here, I've never pulled out more than a $20,000 loan on anything, which is insane if you think over 15 years. I've spent $500,000 on buying salons, renovations, tools, training, like easily, right? So the way that I did that was through my cash flow and managing my money appropriately and self-funding, which is what I can teach you guys to do if and when you need to start expanding your business. Because when we get down to it, you're going to see that after this verification checklist, all the way at the bottom, you're going to see the estimated tool professional investment literally comes to anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 in professional tool setup. And this is just stuff, this is outside of a color kit, because we provide color bar for you to purchase per gram if you want it, right? This is even outside of like tint bowls and tint brushes and towels and all the other things that you would need to provide for yourself if you were in like a true independent situation or in like a salon suite or whatever, okay? This is just to give you like, I'm going to tell you about a month and a half before I graduated school, I got in a car accident. I was rear-ended at like 45 miles an hour. Like I was at a dead stop and this guy just threw me into the intersection, almost totaled my car. It was nuts. I ended up getting like a $3,000 settlement, right? In addition to the repairs, but like for pain and suffering and the medical and all that stuff. That $3,000 settlement, this was back in 2009 or something like that. Yes, in 2009. That settlement literally funded my investment for my toolkit. I remember going into Cosmoprof and being like, I need a color kit. I bought like a run of colors. I'm like, I need tools. I need better tools because what I got from school is not going to cut it, right? Like, and I literally spent every single penny. As much as it sucked to be in the car accident, that was like my blessing from God, because I would not have been able to start my independent business without that, right? So this is what you guys need to think about as you're launching your independence as stylists. It costs money to make money, and these are small habits we build into you guys right now. Why are you laughing? Because you know?
No, I'm like, what intersection can I go to?
I know. How do I line me up one of those rear-ending situations?
Like, oh, awesome, baby.
Yeah. Seriously, we'll babysit you, give you an hour. We'll wait for your phone call.
I'll do that.
So, oh my god, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, it costs money to make money. We start with baby steps. We start by charging you small increments for using color for learning in classes. You start by booking free blowouts where you're not paying station rent, so that way when you do bring in a model, you know how the whole process works through Colorist. Like, it literally is just one step at a time. When you get to the point where you are a six-figure or a multiple six-figure stylist, for me, just my tools, if I was when I go to Vegas, I'm about $1,000 in the hole for 2 days. Just in product and station time, right, Brittany? It's pretty insane. You're like sweating thinking about color.
I'm already thinking about
Booth rent.
all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So these are just habits, and this is not something that we're going to sugarcoat for you. Like, you have to spend money to make money. So we'll talk about how you guys can manage your finances another day. Moving on. Okay, so this is what your week 1 is going to look like. If you guys haven't seen it already, you guys all have access to this. That link is in our chat right now. If you haven't gone through this, you have to go through this. This is not negotiable. This is the foundations for our entire training regimen, our platform, and the very core honest truth is, even if you don't plan on being at this salon forever or even more than 6 months, the systems that we're teaching you on how to build client trust, professional contact behind the chair, business, a customer service plan, all of these things, self-marketing, structured technique, approach for hair color, blow drying, hair cutting, all of these things are things that you should be taking with you that will absolutely make you a better stylist than a peer who did not come to this salon and did not get this training. And that's the unfortunate truth. So please go through those. That's about it. Let's start with color theory then. Let's jump right into it. We've had a few questions so far. First question is, Allie's taking photos of her baby. Allie wanted an explanation for the decimal system for hair color. So like when you go, instead of going to Paul Mitchell, why am I holding the second mic? I have one on. So stupid. So like when you look at alpha bar of color and it says a 5.32, what does the 32 stand for, right? That's tonal value. She had a question about tonal value and the decimal system, which number represents each tone. We have this. I will post this in the back room, literally front and back for you guys. I will staple it to the wall. This is everything that you need to know as far as manufacturer's instructions. This also has tonal values. I'll put a cheat sheet by our color bar too for you guys. We'll go over that as well. Sam, you had a question about how to formulate when depositing to neutralize unwanted tones. I'm not even going to teach you that because alpha part, it doesn't matter. You get what you get. It is a full coverage, high performance line. What we will learn is how to formulate for great coverage and how to tone, right? Which is essentially the science of neutralization. So, or enhancement, right? Based off tonal value. What other questions do we have right now for hair color theory? So we can get those added. Anybody? Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the number system, I know in previous lines I've used after the decimal point, the first number is 3/4 of the tone and the second number is 1/4 of the tone. Is that?
No.
It's not. Okay.
That is not.
That's applicable.
Can I answer it? Can I answer it? 30%.
Yes. Okay, so there's a great reason as to why Alpha Park does this. So if you think in that concept of 3/4 and then 1/4,
Yeah.
Where is the value for natural deposit? So, or the neutral deposit, right? So natural, neutral, not the fashion tone. Where is that in that line? Are we depositing a natural or a neutral at all? If you think about it, if it was a 3-2, a 5-3-2, and another line, which would be gold violet, am I depositing truly 100% pure gold violet at a level 5 onto that client in any other line? No, I'm estimating now how much neutral or natural is left in that color tube. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with alpha par, if we are looking at the decimal system, this is why I wish I had a. I wonder if I could draw something. I wonder how do I make this happen? Oh my God, I'm so expressive. This is not even funny. Should I just use a permanent marker?
You can get it off with hairspray.
So for example, an 8.23, it would be 50% 8,
No,
which is the
an 8 would be a light blonde
going out. But it's the same.
No,
So the
after
decimal.
the decimal.
Okay,
So
8.23. Wait, 8.23. What about an 8.23? What are you asking?
So how is it broken down after the decimal point, the 2 and the 3, as far as tone? Is the first number still
Yes.
50? Okay. And then 30.
Second number is still 30.
Okay.
Natural.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 8.23. She's asking the amount inside this tube of color. What is the tonal value?
Yeah.
We know it's in a level 8. We have a 2, which is a violet, so that's 50% violet.
Okay.
And then we have 30% gold, which also makes it very curly and awesome and great. But there's a third decimal that's still missing that represents 20% of what's inside of this tube.
Okay.
20% of it is in neutral.
Gotcha.
Yes.
That answers my question.
Yeah. So 20% of that is a neutral if it's unspoken. Okay. But there are color lines. There are like, I think it's a 9.442 or something like that. I can't remember. It's part of their Leonardo series and it's a permanent color. We know 50% is copper. We know 30% is copper and 20% is violet. There's zero natural or neutral tone in this tube.
Okay. That answers all the questions.
Yes.
that I have for-
So, and if we are talking about just a, like, 5.5, for example, 1 decimal value. We know it's depositing a level 5. We know it's 50% mahogany and 50% natural. Okay? So these,
so easy once you know it.
once you understand it, everything is so well thought out. I'm telling you, I don't miss with this color line. Actually, I probably missed when we were in Vegas, like just a smidge, because I was working with such a limited squad, you guys. It was so ridiculous. They didn't know, but 85%, 90% accuracy for me is an F on my test or my exam. For me, I should be hitting at a 95 to 98% accuracy on color expectations and consistency with every single guest every single time. There shouldn't be a single reason why a hair color doesn't perform to my level of expectancy and me not have a reason of understanding as to why, either hair anatomy, physiology, chemistry, pH balance. We're talking color deposition. There needs to be a reason why the color behaves the way it behaves, and at my level of performance, I have to know why. There's no guessing anymore, right? So these are the things I want to teach you guys. Right now, if you're like intern level and you're just like exploring with color, if you hit color at an 80% accuracy, that's a fucking A+ for you guys. Like, good job. Like, I'm stoked for you. You know what I mean? Because it comes with relative to your skill set, your knowledge of experience and understanding. So does your accountability level and consistency for what you're producing, right? So another question. That was the brief. We're not going to revisit the weight of tonal value anymore. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, awesome. So then I'm going to move on with the rest of the color theory questions. Other questions? What do you feel confused by?
More about like finding the hue or like finding, like telling what to find within a picture or like their inspiration or.
Oh,
what color
identifying
they-
tones.
Yeah.
Identifying depth and tone.
That's it.
Yeah, that is a big one. And that is so important. But I'll tell you, with Alpha Park, it's very easy. It comes down to pulling up a photo and just being like, ah, that looks right. I'm so serious. Which one did you send me yesterday?
The one
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna do on
Huh.
Monday.
Okay. Did you send that to my work phone? I can't
No.
remember.
But I have it right here.
Text it to my work phone because I can pull it up here. It's not me taking selfies. Who is that? Oh. Okay. Now, bro, you showed up at 9:10. Allie, will you text my work phone?
Yes, it's not both.
Okay, so Allie was like, I have a client, she booked a balayage with me, and I don't know what formula to use on her. And I said, what's her hair color history? She said she's never colored her hair before. I'm like, already easy, done. So I was like, dude, you have so many options. Personally, what I would do is take a high lift,
Oh, let me take notes.
one of these, and find something that was neutralizing, maybe like an 11.11 or 11.13, and I would just use like a 5 or a 10 volume with a high lift. But here's the thing, I don't know that I would recommend that for you guys because this requires some controlled processing and lift. As an experienced hairstylist, it's all I'm doing is just getting there quicker with a more ammoniated product. But in reality, what you could do is just simply hold this up and be like, oh, that looks like an 831. That looks like a 731 on her highlight right there. I think I'll just, or even a 732. I think I'll just use that. How many levels of lift do I need now? What's her starting base? A 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a 4 and she needs a 732. Yeah. You lift 3 levels. You can use a 30 volume. And with a 732. And it's gonna get you there.
Like she wouldn't even need it.
I know, I don't either. But manufacturers instructions tell you you have to have enough gas in the tank to complete your journey, right? If you're running on E and you don't get all the way there, if you're like, well, I used the 10 volume, maybe it'd be safer. Well, now she only lifted to a level 5 or 6. We know where the mistake was. 30 will do it.
Yeah.
But do I really think she'll need a 30? No. So she has great hair texture. It's medium to fine fabric. It's not super coarse. It's not going to have dense keratin or melanin in it. You know what I mean? So it's that simple. But one of the things that you can do is literally test yourself. Just pull up photos, pull out a color book, and match color. That's all you need to start doing and attuning your eye to. Okay? Matching color. Be like, okay. And then when you're out on the street, it's going to start happening. You'll be like, oh, I know exactly what formula she is, you know? But it's one of those practices that we just build our skill sets, our muscles with by doing it and repeating it often. Like blowouts, like a customer service line, identifying color, going through perimeter cutting. Vix, are you so sick of perimeter cutting? What are you doing on your phone, my love?
Sorry, no, it's my mother.
I love you. I only call you out because I love you. I'm just wondering. It's okay. It's okay. But that's why we do repetition, right? Over and over and over again. Is to build our muscles. Okay. It really does work. You guys think I'm like a crazy, some kind of tyrant, like, you know, dictator? The one from yesterday, the haircut was fucking phenomenal.
No, not the cut. The
What?
blow up. I always struggle with the front, and then I just
Yesterday you nailed it.
nailed it.
Beyond nailed it.
Nailed it.
You guys should see her before and afters on her Instagram. They are fire. So what Allie did was I sent her a video of a cutting tutorial, and I said, this is the cutting tutorial that you're going to use. She practiced it at home and came in, and she's like, this girl sits down. She's never done this haircut before, and she walks through a wonderful consultation. She has so much confidence. Literally, she had the BDE going down like hard. I was like, damn, she's really got in control of all this right now. This girl felt confident and comfortable. And Allie was like, so I've cut the perimeter the way that you told me, and now should I just pull all of her layers to a 90? And I'm like, yes, exactly. And she did it. The only thing that I did was I came to the chair to show her how to cut a corner off the front to enhance the face framing.
All of us would be intimidated by cutting that much.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, in another day. But the fact that she understands the knowledge, she had prepped herself before, right? All these things set you up for confidence to actually knock it out of the park when it happens. So yes, repetition, repetition, repetition. All right, let us move on to actual hair color theory. Any questions that you want me to go over? I have one. How do you know when to use a demi or a permanent if the demi in this color line covers gray? Why would we use one or the other? I know you know. Do you know? Don't answer the question.
I do have one question.
What?
When like blonding, how do you know what to use for toning?
How do we know what to tone with?
Yeah.
Okay, so toning is its own theory, right? That is enhance or neutralize. We have two options. Are we enhancing with tone or are we neutralizing with tone? Toning implies you are not changing level or depositing. You're not bringing her down, and you're not trying to depigment or pull melanin out of the hair to bring her up, right? That's not toning. Toning is a lateral movement on the level in a different color family, right? So that's something that we have to think about on its own. Toning is different. So as we get into it, I want you guys to draw this in your notes right now, please. Oops. Come on. No. How do I zoom? What the heck? Oh, enter full screen. Actually, I can hold it.
You're so spoiled.
Oh, it's already. Oh, here we go.
And my mother-in-law is letting me. I'm like, that's actually my boss. She spoils her.
Yes, it's me. I'm the problem. I want you to draw this in your notes, please. Yeah, I got lots of pens. And I can't decide if I'm hot or cold, so I'm just gonna put this down.
It's cold in here.
It was hot for a second. I don't think it was hot. I think you're crazy. You're crazy.
Girlfriend.
Chill out. Okay, I want you to put that in your notes. This is the anatomy of a hair strand.
Okay.
We're gonna bring this forward. Oh my gosh. There we go. What's up? Oh yeah, I'll take her. All right. This is my buddy. Her and I are friends. We're like best friends, actually.
Her mom actually doesn't exist when we're together.
Mom who? Like, no, we're just besties. Okay, you guys got that? Okay, so before you write anything down, because I don't want you to get it wrong, I know you're probably already thinking like, oh, I already know this. It's so easy, blah, blah, blah. Alexis knows it. I know Vix knows it. They've only seen it like 1,000 times. And they already know what I'm going to say. Okay, so what's the inner, most dense part of the hair shaft? That inner circle right there. What's it called? Anybody? Anybody who's not Vix or Alexis? What is the center, most dense part of the hair shaft called?
It's the medulla. I knew it.
Oblongata. No, it's just medulla. It's not the medulla oblongata. But medulla is the most dense inner portion of the hair shaft. So write that little definition down, please. MEDULA.
why I question that.
Medulla is the innermost dense part of the hair shaft. And this is important that you understand that. It's like going towards the center of the earth. It just becomes more and more, well, we don't actually know, but it gets more and more compact and more dense inside the hair shaft. Okay, it is also important to note that not everyone has a medulla. I do not have a medulla. Alexis does not have a medulla. Vix would be hard pressed to find one, all right? So I'm just saying, there are girlies out there without a medulla, and we messed up like
I'm gonna
pretty
do
quickly.
that. And if I ever get in a verbal altercation, you don't even have a medulla.
You don't even have a medulla. Why do you have an opinion? Okay, so medulla. And then around the outside of the innermost dense part of the hair shaft is the starts with a C. Cortex. The cortex lies under the cuticle and K layer, where the majority of hair color is deposited. So most of your hair color is going to live here. Yeah? Everybody cool with that? So for those of us who have very fine hair, if you've ever done this, you've tried to deposit onto someone with very fine hair, even a demi or a permanent. And the reason being is because there's less internal area to hold the color molecule, right? So if I have fine fabric, I need to know that ahead of time. If my objective is to deposit hair color into the cortex, we will talk about that in a second. Toning is not that. When we are toning with a demi on wet hair or depositing a direct dye, majority of that hair color lives on these outer rings, right? Okay. So we have the medulla, which is the innermost dense part of the hair shaft. We have the cortex, where majority of hair color lives. Then we're moving into this little fun fatty layer right here. This is the one that they did not teach you in school. This is one that is now widely recognized as fact for hair anatomy that was not being talked about even 3, 5, 4, 10 years ago, for sure not. But science has shown us that this is almost the most important part of the hair shaft now. And then on the outside, I'm not going to tell you what the name of that is yet, but on the very outside of that lives our what? Our cuticle. Okay. So this fatty layer right here, outside of the cortex and below the cuticle, is called the K layer. Other brands are having other names for it, but K is just basically stands for keratin. Or we call it like the K fatty layer because it needs keratin and lipid fat and hydration to be healthy. So this is where you're going to most notice the impact of damaged polypeptide chains. This is where you're going to notice the impact of broken disulfide bonds, which are the bonds that break through chemical exposure. This is the layer that is most often impacted by things like a bond builder or Olaplex. K layer is the layer that will make your hair look dry or brittle if it's missing hydrogen molecule. The K layer is the layer that will, if it's missing lipid fats, will make your hair, your cuticle be rough and tangly. Okay? The K layer is responsible for a lot. It's also responsible for obviously protecting the cortex, the inner medulla, and the K layer doesn't necessarily hold as much color as you would think, but the healthier the K layer, the better deposition of color molecule. Okay? So what does that mean? The K layer itself expands and contracts. That is what expands and contracts around the hair shaft. Or I'm sorry, underneath the cuticle around the cortex. Okay? It plumps and swells and it also deflates. And the two main contributing factors for what makes it swell and deflate are lipid fats and hydrogen molecule. Okay? Lipid fats and hydrogen molecule. Okay? So your K layer, I want you to imagine rungs of a ladder inside of your K layer. And each rung on that ladder is a polypeptide chain. Each one of those rungs on the ladder needs keratin to provide structural rigidity, meaning a framework. Okay? So you need repair with keratin first. If your client's hair is fucked up, we have to move them in stages to repair their hair. The first thing that you need to do is give this K layer that keratin it needs to provide structural rigidity in those polypeptide chains to get them to link up again, okay? Once that starts happening, that's when you can add in your lipid fats, which is what's going to plump, okay? Once you have lipid fats, you can move on to hydrogen molecule, which sneaks in around any other gas and plumps it up again. Okay, so when this K layer is deflated, what happens is it shrinks. And I want you to think about like a hairy balloon or something, or scales on a balloon, right? All these like scales are laying down nice and flat. The balloon is expanded, but when the balloon deflates, all those scales start standing upright because they're losing surface area to fall onto, right? And they start standing out straight. And this is where our cuticle becomes really rough and tangly. This is where our cuticle starts tangling with itself, is because our K layer is deflated. Are we tracking? Questions so far? I'll give somebody a high five if they can tell me in their own words what they think the K layer is or does. Anything about it? It protects the inside of the cortex. Yes, it does. It does tell you the most about the hair and the condition of the hair. What else does the K layer do? It provides a platform for your cuticle to lay down flat on. Okay, this is like the root or the inside or the head of the cuticle. Like if cuticles were wings, then the K layer would be the shoulder blade where it connects. Okay, that's where the cuticle lays onto the hair shaft, is the K layer. And so, why am I telling you this? I start every hair color theory class with this because if you don't understand hair anatomy and physiology, if you don't understand the structure of the hair shaft, you will not be able to accurately choose which hair color type you're using and for what scenario. You won't understand where it's behaving in the hair shaft, how it's behaving in the hair shaft. You won't be able to understand the light reflection or the density of deposition, like the amount of molecule in the hair shaft that's actually being retained, right? So all of this is so important. And this is obviously apparently important when you go to tone, and the most porous areas on the hair are overtoned, right? Or if somebody's fabric is so blown out and brittle, you go to color them, like we were talking about a client the other day whose ends will not retain a low light, will not, because there's too much porosity, right? So we need to understand these things if we're going to be the best colorist possible. Everybody cool on that, yeah?
Yes. If, say someone like every time they wash their hair or shower and then they have it, like no matter what, once it like starts to dry a little bit, especially after being in a towel, and it's like always like a bird's nest. So that gives a big.
Oh, absolutely. And there might be even another reason why that's happening too. So sometimes we just based off of our product choices too. Sometimes we can suffocate the cuticle, which prevents the K layer from expanding and contracting. And so it basically suffocates it. It creates a coating. And that's when our cuticle starts to die because it can't move, right? It becomes flaky and tangly. A lot of times that'll happen too. There's so many different factors, but yeah, you would want to start treating their hair based off of what you see. So there's elasticity and porosity tests that you can do. We've done elasticity and porosity tests in school, right? Elasticity and then porosity is how much hydrogen we're able to retain. But when you see somebody's hair that you freshly washed and their ends are dry almost immediately, that's because they're not retaining hydrogen molecule. That's how you know those ends really need to go, or we need to start repairing them to the best of our ability, right? By walking them through keratin first, lipid fat second, hydrogen molecule third, okay? So one of the things I love about the Alpha Carf line is green is repair, 4 is illuminate, which is the fatty hydration layer, and then, nutritive, it's nutritive. So it goes reparative is green, nutritive is pink, and then illuminate is white. And that is the steps of the process. If you put your clients on those things one at a time, one series of the reparative, one series of the nutritive, and one series of the illuminate, it is the best hair repair regimen. Those 3 followed back to back to back that I've ever used on a client ever. I'm illuminate, which is the white. So it's green, pink, white, and you want to walk them through one series of each. So one set of shampoo and conditioner on the green, one set of shampoo and conditioner on the pink, and then one set of shampoo and conditioner on the white. Yes, this takes 4 or 6 months, but it makes a difference. And then after that, once their hair is in decent condition, I usually put them on Euphoria. Euphoria does have great reparative properties. The urgent repair is probably the most comparative as far as the repair is concerned, but I just like the way that the Alpha Carf regimen is built. It's easy to understand. Okay, so we're all tracking with hair anatomy, physiology, the chemistry, or I'm sorry, the makeup of the, okay. All right. Let's talk about, instead of moving into tonal theories, which is like the color wheel, let's talk about the color line, semi, demi, and permanent. Okay, I want, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then Brittany can be a 3. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you're a 1, I want you to go grab a permanent. If you're a 2, I want you to go grab a demi. And if you're a 3, I want you to go grab a semi. You're a 2. Anne-Marie, are you learning so much? I feel like it's all been right. Anne-Marie, are you learning so much about your color? Or she's on the phone, never mind. I can't, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Yeah, no worries. No worries. No, I was just saying, are you learning so much about your color right now? So much you didn't want to know?
Actually, yes. And I'm actually a little bit actually
Oh, nice. Thank you.
It'd be so bad.
Okay, you're in 3, so you have to go find a semi. Okay. Semi. Did you get it? You got a demi, right? No, you gave me a 1. Oh, you're a 1. Okay. I'm not answering any questions. You gotta get a demi. Or are you a 3?
I was a 3.
Then you gotta get a semi. Okay, well, take a wild guess. This is why I've got hair I'm not answering any questions. Go sit down.
Okay.
Two wisdom.
In alpha parts?
Yeah. Well, they can be any semi. They can be any semi.
Well, see, she just said they could be any set.
Well, I know that we use all kinds of different semis.
I know. I was like, I pulled a U401 first, and I was like, wait.
Okay. All right. So, Miss Alexis, you pulled a permanent, correct? Tell me about that color line. Wait.
Wait, the whole line?
No, just anything that you know about evolution of color in the permanent. And I'm not going to ask everybody this, but Alexis has only taken like 14 color classes with us. So,
Alexis.
poor Alexis on the spot.
You got it.
Look at my anything. Just tell us something.
Describe your permanent
And what did you pick? What did you pick?
I grabbed an 8.1 since a level 8, and then it's ash, 50% ash, 50% neutral. And it covers gray. It's permanent.
Does it cover gray?
It's a fashion too.
Yes. It's great for depositing or lifting if we're not covering gray, because it's considered a fashion shade. If we are covering gray, we want to add half of our formula as a neutral. Okay, so I want you to, I'll have you guys do this in a minute. All right, Miss Francis, what did you grab?
I grabbed colorware and I grabbed the 3 dark brown. And I think from what you were talking about, I mean, I've never used this myself, but it covers gray.
It does, and I'll tell you how in a little bit. All right, Miss Sam, what did you grab? You were a semi?
Yeah, I grabbed a Danger Jones blue, and I know that it doesn't
Correct.
it only deposits
Correct.
excess ink go to the medulla or the cortex.
Wow, correct.
Really?
Hell yeah, Sam.
Thinking like a light purple brown, almost like even like brown, gold mahogany wand has on there. I think it covers gray. The permanent.
We'll talk about that. Permanent needs a neutral to cover gray. So not a fashion shade. And you know it's a neutral if it says just 8 or just 7, right? Because there's no decimal after it's in per tone. Or an 8 NB neutral, natural Bahia, NI, natural intense. What are the other naturals?
NB.
Natural Bahia, natural intense, and then cool natural. I think that's it.
Cool natural doesn't have a
No, it doesn't have it.
just.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. What do you got? What did you pick out?
I grabbed 10.8 in the colorware, the upper colorware line. It's
Put the mic up to your mouth, you guys.
Light blonde purple.
You got a 10.8?
Yeah.
Okay. And a demi?
Yeah, like colorware.
Do you know how demis behave yet?
Not fully.
Okay. Okay. All right. Your turn, my love. Miss Holland. Sammy. Yes.
And it's a direct color, so you don't have to mix it with the color.
Correct. Very good. All right, Miss Vix.
I grabbed the Evolution Color 5.66i.
Yes.
This one I know does not cover gray. There is a series of red that does cover gray. They're called the cover reds.
Yes. That is not one of them.
This is not one of them.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
More red.
Zero neutral in that too.
Okay.
Zero neutral.
Yes, it is.
It's negative on the neutral
Straight
scale.
If it could be negative, it would be
Yes.
negative on the neutral
In fact, there's a reel going around. I posted on my story. One of the reasons that I use Alpha Carp is because they are constantly testing their color line against other color lines, and they absolutely spanked the competition when it comes to depositing reds and the vibrancy of reds in any other. I'm not kidding you. It is jaw dropping. Like so good.
For
Anyways.
permanent reds, there's no other one on use, right? You use different
Direct dyes. Yes, of
Direct
course,
dye.
deposits.
but
If you need a
when
permanent,
I need a permanent for my roots,
that's it.
this is the only one that deposits the red.
Correct. All right, Miss Allie.
I grabbed color with 5UV and I would use it.
You would. Okay. All right. What does the UV stand for?
What's the matter?
Yes.
Idiot.
Dummies.
I have the semi-magenta Alpha Park. You can do this on blondes, already blondes. You can relight in the hair also and apply it to freshly washed damp hair. And typically it would stay on about 20 minutes. There's no developer needed. It's just out of the tube in the bowl with the hair.
Okay. All right. Yay. Okay. So you guys, I want you to pay attention to this. I'm going to describe the properties of each hair color type that you have in your hands, and I want you guys to listen to yours specifically. If you are a permanent, then you are ammoniated. Write that down. If you are permanent, then you're ammoniated. Means you have ammonia in your tube. What does that mean for you? That means you can do lifting and depositing with a permanent. My assistant is well confident in my work right now. She's not even concerned a little bit. Actually, she's my boss. My boss is not concerned. She listens to my lectures to go to sleep at night. So that's why she's passed out.
Lectures are lectures.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're permanent, you lift and deposit, and you are ammoniated, meaning you have ammonia in the tube, correct? All right. A demi means you are not ammoniated. More often than not, a demi uses something called arginine, which is an ammonia synthetic. And with a demi, on principle, we'll just say, and we're talking science the way it should behave, you are deposit only with a demi. Demi is deposit only.
I wrote it before you said it.
That's what I'm laughing.
Deposit only. Oh my god. I like I knew. All right, and a semi. A semi does not have ammonia. A semi does not have an ammonia replacement like arginine. A semi is neither of those things because it does not need a developer to deposit. Do you want to know how we get semis to stick to the hair shaft? Do you want to know? The base of all semis is going to be some type of lipid composite. Some type of fat, oil, something. It is going to, there is no, well, actually, you can make a high-pure base one with like the pigments, but it's not going to deposit with the same intensity and coverage as like a true semi, right? So, your face was confused. No? No. You got it? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this then. Starting with permanents. Permanent has ammonia, meaning we can look to deposit. That means that it's going to be the most aggressive and it will go deeper into the hair shaft. Permanents perform best on clients with a medulla. If you've ever come to the back and been like, I don't know what to formulate, I think she wants to be a 6N, I'm going to be like, what hair fabric does she have? That's my first question. And for those of you that ask me, no, what's her fabric? Is she fine, medium, coarse? What is it? Right? Because that's going to tell me where I need to target the application of color molecule. So permanent has the most activity, will go the deepest, pulls the melanin out of the hair shaft, right? Because it will also lift. And it lives around here, okay? Yes, it does, of course, sprinkle on the outside, all over, but it makes its way deeper than any of the other two, okay? A demi does not have ammonia and does not go as deep. And I like to relate I like to relate demis to like a gel coating on the top of your nail. Like it lives in this area right here, okay? It barely crosses over the K layer into the upper layer of the cortex. This is where your demi lives. Everybody cool on that. It doesn't have as much activity. It cannot go as deep. So when I say gel coating, it's because that demi literally is like creating little, like a little coating around the top and the outside of the hair shaft, okay? It doesn't penetrate. It's not going inside, kind of. Not as deep as the permanent, right? That's the demi. The semi, okay, deposit only. If you have a good deposit only, it's going to do this for you. It will go in and plump your K layer for you. That's why we use lipid bases on deposit only on the semis, or with the semis. It should be able to plump this and create surface area and more tension area for those color molecules to stick to the cuticle around this area, okay? If they are super broken, if they are super porous, and they have coarse hair, sometimes that semi goes all the way in because there are large gaps in their polypeptide chains, and that shit is not coming out to save your life, right? That's how we get that retention of those demis, and we're like, dude, this should be coming out by now, and you literally have to cut it out. It's because the porosity level starting was so poor that when you put that lipid fat on the hair shaft, it literally just drank it all in. It went all the way in, right? And it's not coming back out. So if you are permanent, come point to where you live on the, right now, come point. If you're permanent, where do you live?
Okay.
Hey!
Wait,
No, Vix, it's closer.
Yeah,
Yes. That's where
So
you
I
live.
was like trying to bend down,
Okay.
so I'm not standing right in front of
If you're
the
a demi, come point to where you live, please. Yes. Uh-huh. Sorry. Well, you were or weren't? Okay.
Get the details of their card and trying to add that on her client card, but I need the access for the card terminal one.
Oh, because it wants you to swipe the card manually, that's why.
Oh.
Okay, so we'll pause, we'll return to this in a little bit. We'll have to walk through that in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so if you are a demi, where do you live? Even a little bit deeper. I would say even not as deep as a permanent, but this is your crossover line right here. The outer cortex into the K layer. Yep. All right, if you're a demi, come show me where you live. I mean, sorry, a semi. If you're a semi, come show me where you live. I'm not dyslexic or anything.
There's an ear plug over there.
It's there, right there. So random. Why are you just up here? Why are you just up here? If you're a semi, where do you live? Okay. If your hair is super porous, what happens? Sometimes you go, yes. and we don't really want that, but sometimes it happens. Or if they are missing, if they're so blown out that they're missing their cuticle and K layer almost completely, it won't retain at all. So if it's not retaining to the K layer, usually it's a fat issue. If it's going too deep into the hair shaft, usually it's a broken polypeptide chain issue, which is keratin.
Let me say that one more time.
If your demi does not retain and washes right out, there is some poor product behavior, I'll tell you that. There are lines out there that are just like, this is garbage, like just garbage. And I hate to say it, you guys, but I'm tried and true Pravana. It just works every single time. Like Pravana is like my favorite. I know it's my favorite direct dye to work with. The consistency and how it behaves. The thing I think it gets a bad rap for is the fact that you do have to manually manipulate that hair color into the hair shaft. You have to be careful and intentional with your application. You cannot be a lazy stylist when using it. That's how we get things like overworking the hair color or gaps or holidays or uneven deposition, right? Okay, so careful. Scare. So what am I saying? If it doesn't retain to the cuticle, if your demi doesn't retain and it washes right out, a lot of times that's a fat issue or the K layer issue right here. Okay. If it goes too deep into the hair shaft and never comes back out, it's because it's a polypeptide chain issue. It's filling inside the infrastructure of the rungs of those ladders and behaving as such, meaning it's never going to come back out. Okay. Have you guys ever heard the term covalent bonds? Covalent bonds, and we probably touched on it in beauty school, but I need you guys to understand what those are and how they behave, okay? A covalent bond, actually why don't we look up that definition? Somebody Google the definition for a covalent bond and read it. So that way I don't manipulate it to my own understanding. But I'll tell you what they do with hair color. All right, Ms. Vix, what is a covalent bond? Real loud.
Chemical bond that involves the sharing of electrons to form electron pairs between atoms.
Yes. One more time.
A chemical bond that involves the sharing of electrons to form electron pairs between atoms.
Yes. A chemical bond that involves the sharing of electrons to what?
To form electron
pairs. Okay, so what does that mean? That means with hair color, this is how we get hair color deposit. I want you guys to understand how this works. Hair color goes into the hair shaft as a small molecule, okay? When they get into the hair shaft, they start linking up. Those electrons start attaching to one another. And all of a sudden, those color molecules, which were this big, start becoming this big. Because they are attaching other electrons to themselves, making a bigger hair color molecule. That is how that hair color gets locked into the hair shaft and is not coming back out. It's covalent bonds. This is so important that we understand how this happens.
You want to order this?
I just worked out so hard the last 3 days. I couldn't even lift my arms to brush my daughter's hair this morning, and I'm holding a baby right now. Like, okay, so covalent bonds, that is how hair color develops, right? The oxygen inside of the developer starts spinning those electrons around the atom quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And the faster they go, the quicker they start attaching to one another. Is this making sense? Oxygen creates energy. Oxygen from the developer creates energy inside of those molecules. Those electrons start spinning quicker and quicker, and they attach. They attach quick. I see you laughing over it. I see you looking at your phone. You guys just don't even understand how easy it is for me to see you guys on your phones. Like, it's like nobody's hiding. I just want you to know. Now I know how like teachers actually feel. Anyways, those covalent bonds, right? That's when those electrons link up and they create pairs, and that's how the color molecule becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and forms inside of the hair shaft.
And that's why when the whatever numbers of letters, oxygen is, it's it.
Are you talking about volume of developer?
No.
What are you talking about?
Then about when you mix it and then the air gets it to it oxidizes.
Yes. Yeah. Oxygen is the catalyst for movement with those colors. And so that's why your color comes in like a oxygen sealed tube. That's why when you have a gloss toner that's been open for a few days or weeks or months, you go to pour it, it's no longer clear, it looks like it's turned a color, it's still active, it's still going to deposit behave the same way, but we've already had some oxygen react with those color molecules. So the covalent bond is what causes the color molecule to expand in the hair shaft, and this is what keeps it locked in there. Meaning, it goes in through, like for example, a screen on a door. Like little mosquitoes can fly in through the screen, right? But if it becomes a housefly, which it never would, but if it becomes a housefly, it can't get back out. That's essentially what's happening with hair color when it deposits into the hair shaft. It goes in small, finds friends, gets big, cannot get ejected. Okay? Artificial hair color removers. Why are you still laughing? I know this shit is so boring, but you guys, this is our career. This is our job. This is how you become a 99.9% accuracy colorist. Okay? It's all the boring shit.
But that's like, it's such a great way to explain that because you can visually imagine it in your brain.
Yes.
Like a picture.
Mosquito goes to the screen, becomes a housefly, can't get back out, it's lost.
Yeah, I use analogies like that all the time. Put in my head. And it makes it so.
I'm sorry that I'm a nerd. And I'm sorry that my special interest is hair. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm just fortunate that I can make money on my special interest, okay? It's not like fucking trains or something, alright? Okay. Okay, so the covalent bonds, we were talking about, oh my god, I had a really good point though. What was that?
We were talking about permanent hair
Oh, color
color,
removers.
sign friends.
Color removers. Let's talk about that, okay? There's two types of hair color removers. There is like molecular detox, which basically just delatches any type of ionic bond. Ionic bond. Do you guys know what that is? Positive, negative electrodes, positive and negative magnets stuck together. Okay? When we deionize, we are using something like crystal gel, which is vitamin C. It's a deoxygenizing agent. It is a, what do they call it? Antioxidant. But, duh. An antioxidant deoxygenates, will deionize, will break apart a plus and a negative. That only works around here, right? Because pluses and negatives stick to the outsides of things. Your hair shaft carries its own electronic pulse, right? Your hair shaft is a positive. We are positively putting out energy all the time. Correct? Everybody cool on that? We are sources of energy. Everything we do is a positive energy. We are exuding energy. So when something hits it that is a negative, like a metallic or a hard water molecule, mineral, whatever, that has no positive energy, it retains and it builds around the hair shaft. So deionizing is a deoxygenizing agent like vitamin C, which is crystal gel, only works on the outside. Sometimes we can get a locked in demi or semi that's living on the outside, right, to detach when it is bonded with those negative metallics or minerals or things that are on the hair shaft, right? So that's how we get toner off or like brightening with just simply like a vitamin C detox, but it's only working on the outside, okay? An artificial color remover does something completely different. It breaks those electrodes, those electronic bonds in here, right? Those covalent bonds. It starts breaking the covalent bonds. That is like CPR, which by Malibu, right? It not only will deionize and remove the artificial layer of cement or metallics that have positively and negatively locked to the outside of the hair shaft, but it also goes deeper and it starts breaking apart those covalent bonds. So if your mosquito comes in, becomes a housefly, and it can't get back out, but then it's like, you know what, I'll just become a mosquito again, so it breaks apart, it can get back out, right? So that's what happens when we are breaking apart covalent bonds. A lot of times with an artificial color remover, like CPR, there requires a manual manipulation of excretion of color molecule from the hair shaft. This is why when I tell you guys when you're assisting me, we're going to do a CPR, I literally do like, you have to do the scissoring motion with your fingers to get it out of the, we're squeezing the color out of the hair shaft at that point. Sometimes I think safely you can do that up to 3 times in one day, a CPR. I think I've done it up to 3 times in very rare cases. The way you know to keep moving with CPRs is if the first time you put a CPR on and you're getting a lot of color molecule out, you're like, hell yeah, this is working. You're going to do it again. And then you're going to do it again until the last application is almost clear. If you do a CPR and you know that you're following the manufacturer's instructions correctly, if you put it under heat, you detox her with clarifying shampoo well enough before you put it on, and she's been hot the entire time, you took her from a hot dryer into a hot washable, and you know your application was correct and you're getting no color molecule out that first time, then it's not working and there's no need to continue. That's how you guys know the difference on do I use 1 CPR service or 2 CPR services. If 1 CPR yields a lot of excretion of color molecule, do it again. That's how you know. Okay, so now we are understanding how color remover works, correct? You guys, this isn't some advanced shit that you're learning right now. Like, seriously, are you guys so proud of yourselves? You should be very, very proud. Because this is how you know you're going to be a fabulous colorist, because you can explain why it's working. Color theory is so much more than color wheel. It is so much more than color wheel. I can teach a color wheel. We don't even need to teach color wheel, because it's literally right here. And all it is you come into the color bar and be like, okay, what color do I use? I'm like, okay, so let's point here, and then we want to neutralize, so we're just going to go here and look at all the options. Oh, it already gives it to us. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to use a 0.4, and it's literally like it walks us through it if you know how to use it, right? So yes, we can talk color wheel, but color theory is so much more than that. All right, we have about 30 more minutes. Somebody give me a brief rundown of each topic that we've learned about so far, or a topic starting at the beginning. Okay, we started with the anatomy of the hair, correct. Give me just a few tidbits about the anatomy of the hair. Any facts? Miss Vix.
The medulla is the innermost, densest part of the hair strand.
The medulla is the innermost dense part of the hair shaft.
Not everyone has it.
And not everyone has it, correct. Any other tips? Any other review?
Taylor provides a platform for the cuticle to lay down on.
Yes, the K layer is the platform that the cuticle lays down on and is attached to. Any other little notes about hair anatomy? Yes, Miss Vix.
Well, the cortex lies under the K layer and the cuticle, and it's where the majority of the hair color is deposited.
Yes! Cortex lives under the cuticle and the K layer and is where the majority of hair color is deposited. And we're talking permanent and demi. Sometimes semi gets its way in there. Yeah, if it's super porous. Any other tip? Any other facts? Anything?
Cuticle is the outermost layer of the.
Cuticle is the outermost layer of the hair, correct.
The failure expands and contracts.
Yes. K layer expands and contracts. This is the main indicator of how healthy their hair is, right? We can see it. Yes.
The K layer also determines the
Yes.
whether if it's dry, it's likely something with the K layer dry or all.
Yes. So the K layer really will tell us the integrity of the hair, if it's dry, if it's brittle. If we do an elasticity test, though, let's define the difference here. If we do an elasticity test, that's going to tell you how the cortex is and how the medulla is. If there's no elasticity, then that means we are missing polypeptide chains, which is keratin. Okay, do we want to move on? What's our next topic?
Permanent, semi.
Okay, permanent demi and semi. Did anybody have any ahas with a permanent demi or semi? The deposition, the performance.
Question
Yes.
about when people don't have a medulla,
Uh-huh.
and you were saying that it doesn't penetrate if you use a permanent. How can that affect your permanent color if you don't have a medulla?
Okay, so if you don't have a medulla, this is a really great question. I'm so glad you brought it up because I did skip this. I did glaze right over it. Why? Why is it so important if you have a medulla? Why are we choosing a permanent color? How does the performance and the behavior differ, right? If you do not have a medulla, that means you have a smaller cortex. You have less internal area. If your permanent is meant to live in here and there's less internal area, that means per micron, you're going to get less deposition of color molecule inside of fine hair than you would with thick hair.
I feel like you didn't talk about it a tiny bit.
Tiny.
Yeah.
It's so important that I articulate this.
Yep.
So it would be the same as if thin hair has less internal area, that means fewer color molecules are going in. Take 2 jars of water. One jar is this high, and one jar is this high. I'm sorry, no, that's a wrong. Let's go back. Let's take 2 jars of water that are exactly the same, okay? But we are getting less color deposit inside fine hair. We put 3 drops in this one. And we get more color deposit inside thick hair. We put 10 drops in this one. This one with the 10 drops, same height, same volume and weight of water. This one with 10 drops is going to be more intense. This one with 3 drops is going to be less intense because we only got 3 drops of hair color into a smaller hair shaft, and we got 10 drops of hair color into a bigger hair shaft. The cortex, if there's only this much size, you're only going to get a little few molecules in here. If the cortex is this size, you can fill that sucker up with hair color molecule. And that really impacts the intensity of the deposition, right? That's why when I put a 5 on someone with a very fine hair and a 5 on someone with very thick hair will always show up more brilliant. Always. With permanent color. This is so important. Thank you so much. It will always show up more intense because it has more color molecule to reflect. The eye can see it more, right? There's not as much inside fine hair. I'm beating a dead horse, but this is so important that you guys understand this, okay? So, why do I choose a permanent with someone with thick hair? And why do I choose a demi if I only need to deposit or tone with someone with fine hair, if I'm not lifting, why would I put a permanent on here and a demi on fine hair? Because the demi has more external area to deposit a higher concentration of color molecule as opposed to a permanent having less internal area to deposit hair color molecule on fine hair. A demi on fine hair encapsulates. And that encapsulation will give you better light reflection. There will be more hair color molecule that surrounds that fine hair shaft than there would be hair color molecule that's deposited into the fine hair shaft. This is the biggest mistake I see chronically in the hair industry. Chronically, I get chills thinking about it. I don't know that people understand how hair color performs and behaves and how the fabric of the hair really determines the product choice that we use, right? Again, the only downfall is demis don't lift. They don't lift, right? So if we have fine hair and we need to lift, that's when I use a permanent. I just know that that permanent is going to have more lift on fine hair and less deposition. I have to compensate for that in my formula, right? Maybe I use something with a higher tonal value, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the scenario is. But if deposit only, side by side, thick hair, thin hair, we're using permanent and a demi. Okay, so a demi on thick hair works. It does work, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to blow through some product, okay? And you're going to have more likely you'll have less retention because there's so much external surface area that those color molecules don't get locked in as easily, okay? So you are more likely to have a little bit quicker fading, I would say, on a thick hair shaft than a thin hair shaft. And at least that's my experience.
I agree.
Yeah. So thick hair, deposit only, permanent. You get better light reflection. Thin hair, deposit only, demi, better light reflection. Okay. So now that you guys know the foundations and understandings of these principles, why hair color behaves, how it behaves, what the molecular exchange looks like, how do we remove it from the hair shaft, why do certain hair colors, semis, demis, and permanents, why do they look and do certain things, right? How the hair health affects all of those outcomes. Now, we can start talking about the color wheel. Now we can start talking about identifying color patterns and that kind of thing. How to formulate. Because this is the foundational knowledge for your choices. We need to know what and why before we can choose the color. It's like choosing between oil paint and acrylic paint and water paint for each different canvas, for each different outlook, right? Why are we walking over the watercolors when we need an oil-based paint, right? And we're over the watercolors and we're like trying to formulate, and we formulate what we think is perfect. It should, in theory, on the color wheel have made sense, but it didn't perform because we started with the wrong choice to begin with because we didn't have a full understanding of how it's going to behave. Everybody feel good about that? Thank you so much for that question. You obviously identified the gap that I blew right over because this was one of the strongest points I really needed to stress and make with you guys. I'm so grateful you asked that question. Any more questions? You guys, I'm so proud of you. You guys come with me on such a brain stretching class. Alexis,
interesting.
oh, I'm glad you love it. I love it too. Can you tell? That was Psycho Lauren, sorry. But Alexis and Vic, so every time you guys hear this class, do you feel like it connects even more for you?
Yes, absolutely.
I think the repetition is so key when you're ingesting advanced material like this. If it sounds like I'm speaking Chinese right now, that's okay. Stick with me another year. You'll have this class like 2 more times, and it will come to you. It's like learning another language, okay? So do not be intimidated. Yes, my love. You had your hand raised, right? Or did I imagine that?
No, I had a question.
Okay.
But I think I answered it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. All right, so that was about an hour and a half. I think we're good. You guys did so great. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, bye. YouTube.